Hey everybody, I'm gonna talk about first red flags in first dates, okay? So that you don't wait a minute. Oh yeah, so you don't like go around and fuck around. But for example, first date, it's really important how the person treats the waitress, the person that served them, if they're rude to the waitress, and and like that is the real character. That's who they are. That's how they treat people, without them necessarily getting something back. They treat you nice because you offer them something, and then they treat other people bad because they don't offer them something. That's not a person that you want to be with, and also um it's really a big red flag when it's your first date and the guy is really touchy. When the guy is really touchy, and you're not feeling it, and you just say like, you can tell the guy like, yeah, okay, I'm not this type of girl that likes physical contact in the first date, blah blah. And if they continue and press your, boundaries, because this is important thing to see, even though it's like a small thing in the start, but it's a big thing if they press your boundaries, even though you kind of show that you don't want to, and you have expressed it to yourself, and they keep on like joking and laughing and then touching you on the knees or touching you here, that's pretty disgusting, or kissing you in the cheeks, you know and this is stuff to look for, because this is a big red flag. Because then for me it's a big red flag, because it's like, why are you so comfortable you know touching someone that you don't even know? Why are you so comfortable touching someone? Yeah, just being physical and touching someone that you don't even know, you know or you don't even know that you have that consent. you know for example, before hugging people, you ask like, is it okay that I hug you or whatever? Like, you don't just go and hug people just to hug people. You have to have consent. So this is important. And yeah, also what time he shows up on the date. If the guy shows up like late, yeah, no. If the guy shows up like 2 minutes before, 3 minutes before, no. That's a no. That's a cut. You want that guy to show up 10 minutes before. Like, that guy has to be there before you are there. You know. Um. So that's my opinion in dating, and I feel like if a man like is not scared of touching you on physical like that, they don't actually like you at all. Like, they don't like you that well. um and yeah, they just want one thing. Then they want intimacy, quick sex. That's it. Yeah, that's it. That was actually it for this day. Like, that was everything that I was gonna talk about. It's first dates, red flags, how they talk, what they what they think is funny, what they joke about. Is really important what a guy jokes about, because a lot of those things are not even jokes. you know um yeah, and what they watch, and also their phone, if they have placed their phone like this, you know uh you kind of like you kind of gotta sit and analyze, how do you say, um you sit and observe, you know like, you can have the conversation, but you have to observe, because there is a reason why you go on a date. It's not just fun and games. There is a reason, you know um and also, this is something to be really really careful of, because it starts like this, like small, and you don't think it's a big deal, but it will become a bigger deal. Gaslighting and all this stuff, manipulating. For example, when you're on your first date with someone and they tell you like, oh, I feel like you're this type of person, or I feel like you're like, they have already labeled you who you are, and then you have to tell them, oh no, this is not who I am, and like, you know what I mean. And that can be like small, like funny things, like, oh, I saw you post that, or I saw you this on social media, blah blah, so I thought that you were like this and that. and then I have to explain, no, I'm not like that. And then they tell me like, and then that person says like, oh, it's so funny because people are, it's just my perception. You know what I mean? If someone like, this is a major, major red flag, guys. If someone like pursue to make things up about you that is not true, and that you have to like say, no, this is not who I am, blah 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 blah, that then they're like, you know starting, it's a start of a big gaslighting and manipulating stuff, uh, so it's really important actually, because like, to see that person, but also to see, uh, if that person, because there's some like the toxicity, to see someone that is like, because some of those people, you can see they want to test your boundaries, and they want to take how far you can go, and people can tell if you're uncomfortable or whatever, and they keep on pushing, you know they they want to see how much they can go without you saying no, or without you standing up, or without you walking away. It's like they want to see how far they can stretch things, how, you know also, that's the reason why when someone is like, when a guy want to take you on a sleep like this, because they want you to be emotionally in, or kiss on the first date also, because they want you to be like already connected, so they can treat you as shit, and they can manipulate you, and you don't even know, and it's difficult for you to walk away, because intimacy is not something that you just like, you know um so yeah, that's it. And also, I saw like on TikTok, it was a girl that talked about that she was actually on a first date with a guy, and she told him like, she asked him where they were gonna go, and he was like, oh, just put on like relaxing clothes, like hoodies. Like he told her, put on hoodie, and like, just like hoodie and pants, like nothing formal, nothing like that. And so she FaceTimed him and was like, this, and he was like, yeah. And he also showed like, I'm just gonna go with like, my hoodie, and like that, and so she shows up how she showed herself on FaceTime, with hoodie, and a jogger. And then this guy shows up with a suit, well dressed, hair, all this stuff. He's well dressed, you know. And then she was like, kind of weird, And then he pursues to take her on a really, really fancy, expensive dinner. And she doesn't go in. She asks, is this here where we're gonna go? And he's like, yeah. And she just walked away. And the guy was like, hey, come back, hey, come back. She didn't come back. She didn't come back. And he was like, that's just a joke. It was a joke. This was just a funny joke. Come back. Uh, and then she was just walking, continuing walking. And then the guy tells her, the guy shouts to her and say, come back right here now. And she stops, and then she just walks away. And she blocked that guy, and she would never talk to that guy again. Because that is like, that already is like, he's wanting to test the boundaries. How much can I push? How, this is the stuff that you guys gotta see on first dates. Like, I think like, if you use your first date correctly, you like, if you use your first date correctly, really correctly, you will know if you can already see like the red flags of this person. Or you can think like, oh, this is maybe a good match, I want to go on a date, second date, But really, and also one thing really important, if you're on a first date with someone, whatever, this and that, and they plan to meet you next time, this and that, and you don't feel the vibe, and you're like, yeah, I'm never gonna meet this motherfucker again, don't say it. Just say like, oh yeah, it's really fun, like we can meet. Because you're alone with a guy that you barely know, A, and two, you never know. You can literally be stabbed by saying, no, I don't want to go on a date, You put yourself in danger, So just go home. And then you don't even, because you don't even have to write and explain to someone why you don't want to go on a second date with them. You because you don't have, it's just, you don't, honestly. Because I felt like, oh, maybe you can't write and say like, oh, I don't want to go on a second date with you because of this and that. No, you're wasting your time. It's okay. There's no point, you know, just like, and they can figure out on themselves. Or because I think like, also when a guy asks you like, oh, what are you looking for in a man on the first date? I think that's a red flag, because then it's like, you know what I mean? Because it's like, then you say everything, and then they start to act in accordingly to that. But you want to see how the guy acts naturally without you saying the things that you want. For example, if you want someone to become, if you like a guy that is romantic, brings you flowers, all this stuff, and the guy asks you, oh, you can say like, oh, let's just see. And the guy, for example, he's not romantic, is not that, he's not, you know, natural like that. If you say like, oh, flowers, all this, da, 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 then he's gonna buy you flowers, all this stuff, and act like the man that you want, but he's really not that guy, you know. So yeah, that was today's video, guys. Bye bye.